Welcome to this accelerated ID series for career changers who are interested in instructional design. My name is Shawntay Skilldagger, and I am the founder of the Instructional Design Company, the Hangout, and the Instructional Design and Tech Accelerator Certificate Program. I started out as a classroom teacher. I was a fifth grade social studies and science teacher in Greenville, Texas. Whenever I was a teacher, I loved it. But then I went through a pretty significant life change that made me realize that teaching just wasn't going to work out for me anymore. So I started exploring other opportunities that would allow me to use the skill set that I had developed as a teacher. And luckily, I stumbled across a position that was a training specialist position at a nearby university. It kind of wore all the hats. So it was the instructional designer, it was the e-learning developer, it was the LMS administrator, it was the training facilitator. So I was immediately drawn to that. And I immediately started working on my resume to make it sound less like a teacher and a little bit more like an instructional designer. So in all the places that I had skills that related to that training specialist job, I really emphasized those in the resume. So your resume is really like that first point of contact or that first point of interest that announces you to a potential employer, which is why it's so important for us to spend some really good time on our resume and our cover letter and even our LinkedIn profiles to make sure that we're really setting ourselves up for success whenever we are going out to apply for new jobs as we are making this career change transition. So I am super, super excited to invite Marissa Lessman back here today with us. She's leading this particular accelerated instructional design series for career changers today. She has partnered with us in many ways in the past. She is a guest trainer in our Instructional Design and Tech Accelerator program. She does resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn coaching for the Instructional Design Company. And she currently is a professional resume writer for the PARWCC. She also works full-time with the 4 Forbes, it feels like a tongue twister, 4 Forbes recommended resume companies. And those are LinkedIn Recruiter, the Barrett Group, Great Resumes Fast, and Career Propulsion. So she is an expert in the area of resumes and cover letters. So I'm really excited to have her join us today. Welcome, Marissa. So glad to have you back.
Oh, always a joy. Always a joy. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just excited to share the wealth.
Oh, I love that. Share the wealth, right? How many people want a part of that wealth? I know that I want some of that wealth today.
I do too. It's my own wealth, but I'm happy to give it, receive it. To have it is to give it away.
Amazing. Amazing. All right. Well, I'm not going to get in your way. I'm going to step out and let you start sharing all that wealth.
Awesome. Thank you. All righty. Hi, everybody. My name is Marissa. I currently am based in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am as Shawntay said, a professional resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn writer. Work for several companies, have my own small company, and of course, work for Shawntay and the lovely team here. I have created a short, but I think pretty exciting little slideshow that I'd love to share with you about just my sort of fast and loose, but also comprehensive, if that makes sense, tips and tricks for resume and cover letter. Let's begin. Okay, friends. Number one, biggest tip. So I do it first. Very important. Make sure that everything written celebrates your point of view through the marketplace. So what does that mean? Everything that you have done from the minute you started your professional tenure, whether it was bagging groceries at 16 or babysitting at 12, what have you, everything has been a part of your professional journey. So it's gotten you here, right? Gaps in employment, family matters, everything that has been involved during your professional tenure makes up what you are. And don't shy away from that. That is what recruiters want to see. They want to see who you are. They can see a resume written in a very general sense any day of the week. Most resumes are written in very general speak. position overviews, a little bit about, what you do, and then your education, moving on. So what is going to make you stand apart, right? And it is your particular history, because nobody has had your journey but you. So I wrote here, your journey is individual and special. Do not shy away from the parts of your story that deem unworthy. So, really take time to think about who you are and your point of view through the marketplace. Meaning, what can you specifically bring to an organization that is of value? And that really, to me, every part of your resume, from the summary of qualifications all the way downwards, should be in celebration of that. We're not here to hide our discretions. We're not here to hide gaps in employment. We are here to celebrate you. And like I said, recruiters are very, very interested in getting to know you. Then we move on to ATS. Woo! Now, for those who are not familiar, ATS are these pesky little robot friends that have come into our marketplaces and stolen our jobs. No, just kidding. They actually help you get jobs in a way. So applicant tracking systems are a very sort of interesting beast. Now, every company uses them to sort of weed out competition, so to speak. So essentially what it is when you put your resume through LinkedIn, Indeed, what have you, it literally lifts the information off the page. So that means like literally as if like WordPress or text edit. So it takes the information, puts it on this sort of computerized document / algorithm, and therefore gets you ranked as far as how compatible you are with the job description. And that goes into lots of different ways. So that being said, formatting, very important. Making sure that, and obviously I can go in deeper if you're interested after the fact. You can always send me an email to talk more about this. But applicant tracking system basics are, I know that I'm sure plenty of you have seen very cute, graphic, heavy design resumes with the colors and the words flying across the page and the glitter in the air. And as much as it is very aesthetically pleasing, it does not go through an ATS scanner. So making sure that your resume is not only in one column, but lacks all of those large visuals and infographics. So when in doubt, keep it plain. Sometimes people say, oh, well, my resume is boring. I can promise you that if you pass through an ATS scanner, you're going to be psyched about it. And it's not necessarily a difficult thing to get past an ATS scanner, but they reject easily. So just bear that in mind. Now, the other part of that is buzzwords. So what are buzzwords? Buzzwords, as I'm sure you can understand, are words that are important, right? Things that I believe tailor to not only the job description, which is very important, but to the company themselves, their culture, and of course, your point of view through the marketplace. Now, because there's tons of ATS scanners, there's not necessarily a like tried and true list of buzzwords. But what I always recommend to do is take 5 to 10 minutes and scan through the job description. See what they're using multiple times. See what they're using in the first 5 or 6 bullet points. See what they're using in the first paragraph when they're describing the kind of person they're looking for. That's where you're going to find your keywords. Words like cross-functional communication, spearheading. What's another one I was just talking about today? Cross-functional collaboration, communication. Oh, sorry, I have a puppy behind me. I could definitely think of some more. Oh, initiative work, DEI, things like that are sort of universal in nature. So I'm just going to move my little pup out of the screen here. So anyways, ATS is your friend. You just have to let it be. Great. Number 3, keep your resume accomplishment based. So what does that mean? Keeping your resume accomplishment based means, as I said before, a lot of resumes are just very generic in nature, right? So you have your position overviews and then something generic, about kind of what you did. Now, recruiters want to know how you have been able to add value, meaning you. So have you been able to improve processes? Have you been able through like, let's say through curriculum design, have you been able to streamline any sort of processes, make something better? Have you been able to save money? Have you been able to make money? Have you been able to integrate new technology? That's what recruiters want to know. So this is tangible accomplishments, and be specific. That is what they really want to hear, is specificity. So what is specificity? It is metrics. It is numbers. It is everything that you have done in a very specific way. So if you're educating, for example, how many students have you educated? Do you have any sort of rate of success of I don't want to say succession, rate of succeeding? How many pieces of curriculum, or how many classrooms, or I'm sorry, how many classes have you been able to guide the curriculum design, for example? That's what we want to know. So instead of saying something along the lines of design curriculum, what they want to say is designed 12 modules of curriculum, so that they can get an idea of what you've done in a more specific way. Can't go wrong. Now, moving on to our cover letters. Cover letters. So cover letters are notoriously a headache. I hear it all day long with all the clients that I work for. Some of them would literally rather just jump off the top roof of a building than do a cover letter. And I get it. So hopefully these tips and tricks will make it a bit easier for you. Now, cover letters are very specific in nature. And I guarantee you, if you ask 100 people how to write a cover letter, you're going to get 100 different answers. But this is what I use. This is what I have found successful. And I find that this is not only adaptable, but tends to be professional and leaves a lasting impression. So keeping it one page. Now, a lot of people that are in academia, as a lot of you are, have, a CV that can be pretty extensive, right? And usually that accompanies a cover letter that can be, gosh, I've seen like upwards of 3 pages. We don't have time for that. You know what I'm saying? Most recruiters are looking at each document for a total of 8 to 12 seconds. So how are we going to optimize that for success, right? Keeping it short and sweet. A 1-page cover letter shows somebody, a recruiter, HR manager, that you not only have a good grasp of who it is that you are, you have a good grasp of what you want, and you're able to succinctly and with empathy, understanding, and skill, able to ask somebody for how they can help you. Now, ideally, a cover letter, I'm talking 4, perhaps 5 paragraphs at the most. Now, depending upon the position that you're applying for, there are some versions of a cover letter that have accomplishments sort of buried within them. I'm always going to be in the camp that we keep it personal, we keep it professional, and we go along the guidelines of who you are, what you want, and how someone else can help you. Similarly speaking, marrying the personal and the professional. So, like we were talking about at the beginning of this little chat, a large part of this process, and really what helps differentiate more of a general resume from a superlative resume, is that POV through the marketplace, right? And that is actively marrying your personal and your professional. So don't be afraid on a cover letter to talk about yourself in a way that is personal, because at the end of the day, you're a human being and you're talking to another human being. Well, after the ATS scanners, you're talking to a human being. So think about it like that. How would you want, if somebody read a piece of paper that you had authored, what would you want them to think about you at the end? Would they want you to think that you are stoic and perhaps a little stuffy? Or would they want you to think that you're warm, that you have an ease about you, that you have, some ability to enact change through through your very personality? And to me, that always makes a successful cover letter. When I feel like I can understand how somebody adds value and understand a bit about who they are, to me, that is incredibly compelling. And, there are going to be some situations more often than not that maybe cover letters won't be necessary, but I can guarantee you that the recruiters that do appreciate cover letters really love one that marries the personal and the professional. And then last but not least, keep your formatting and title consistent. So again, this is for ATS, but also for your own personal branding. Now, resumes and cover letters come my way all the time. And a lot of them are different fonts, they're different formatting. They don't even know what way is up, which I completely understand. Try to keep everything cohesive. Now, that is so, obviously at the top of a resume, usually you have your name, your contact information, and perhaps your targeted job title. Now, carry that over into your cover letter because that is going to not only show more of a polished view of your personal branding, but show that you went the extra mile. They want to see that you've spent time and not just sort of slap something on a page because this document could make or break getting you an interview. So why not put as much effort into it as you do the resume? So essentially what that means as well is making sure that it is compatible for applicant tracking. So what does that mean? Very similarly to our resume, that means that it is in that one column, that it is sort of lacking the large visuals, graphics, any fancy fontage, anything like that. Although it is very cute, I know it does create a problem with applicant tracking. So making sure that you are keeping your formatting and title consistent and making sure that without the shadow of a doubt that both of them, and like I said, if it feels boring to you, that means that you're onto something. And I know that that might sound silly, but utilize the verbiage, utilize the content for someone to get to know you. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to get a job and you're not going to not get a job because you have fancy lettering. So I just got a message. Anyways, I believe that is my 3 resumes and my 3 cover tips. And I appreciate all of you so much. I hope that you enjoyed this little overview. And I'm just, happy to help, happy to be here.
But I just want to say something before we get into this. As a part of the program that we have, we take our students through writing resumes and getting set up. And in it, we very clearly say, no tables, it doesn't need to be fancy. And probably 50 to 60% of the time, I still get a fancy resume with something in tables, something
Yep.
built in Canva, something built in PowerPoint. And I just can't emphasize enough that you don't want to do that. You can have pretty and unseen, or you can have plain and seen. So those are really
All
your
day.
choices all day, right? All day.
All the time. I have clients that I'll do their resume, I'll reach back out and they say things to me like, can you modernize this a bit? And then I say to myself, I will try, but you are running the risk of being rejected from a scanner. And if you're okay with that, then by all means, but I'm going to optimize you for success.
Exactly. And if you are doing your resume right, you are tailoring your resume for each and every single job that you apply for.
Absolutely.
So that means you're spending a whole lot of time investing in setting that resume up so that it does get past an applicant tracking system. So don't shoot yourself in the foot by using tables, by using a resume format from Canva, by creating something in PowerPoint. You can use a Google Doc that you download. You can use Word. Just keep it simple. And as Marissa said, all in one column, right?
Yep.
No 2 columns, no nothing.
Yep. And I will say a good measure, if anyone's interested, for ATS is if anybody, a lot of computers have text edit or some people have WordPress. Taking all of the information from your resume and just simply plopping it into a text edit, you could see what the scanner sees.
Oh,
so you'll be able to see, it's a little tip, little trick for success. So if you put it into text edit, it's, like in its basis form, right? So I would recommend that just to see what the scanner sees. And you could see very clearly all of this content is missing.
Or hey, if like once you've made it past that applicant tracking system, if you're going into an interview live in person, have that pretty resume that you personally hand out to the people. Or before, like if you're emailing back and forth, once you've gotten past that ATS system, you can send that prettier resume. But anything you are applying for online, through that online application system, plain to be
100%.
seen, right?
Unless you're in a position where you're able to, like you said, email it directly to somebody or hand it over tangibly, keep it plain, keep it easy. Let the content speak for you.
Exactly.